Aside from Leontine Price, there was yet another exceptional and fabulous pinto soprano who was also a part of my childhood. I'm of course talking about the great Renata Tebaldi in my review of Renata Tebaldi Christmas Festival, which was released on January 1, 1971. The conductor was Anton Guadagno with the New Philharmonic Orchestra. Much like my first experience with Leontine Price, where I first heard her sing O Patria Mia, my first experience with Tebaldi was when I first heard her sing Si mi chiamano Mimi from Puccini's La Boheme, and my first impression of her voice was that it was quite steely and it was quite rich in all of the registers. And throughout time, I started to get a lot more curious with this particular soprano, and I found out that she not only sang roles like Mimi, but also the likes of Tosca, Cho-Cho-san, Liu, and even a lot of the big dramatic heroines like Aida, and even Minnie from La Fanciulla del West. And she also sang a little bit of Wagner like Elsa from Lohengrin and Elisabeth from Tannhäuser. She definitely led a very exciting career, as opposed to Leontine Price's smoother and more agile tone, which can even hit a few high E flats and high E's. Renata Tebaldi's top is a lot more limited, and she has a generally rougher tone compared to Price, but it's still a very gorgeous and rich tone, which has been very well used in heroines like Tosca and Gioconda, and even quite versatile, especially when singing roles like Lavalli, Cho-Cho-san, and Mimi. So she was definitely really well known as a wonderful interpreter of a lot of the Verismo roles, especially when it comes to operas by Puccini and Leoncavallo and Mascagni and a lot of the great Italian Verismo composers at the time. And she also had that alleged rivalry with Maria Callas, which is quite convoluted in its details as to why there was a rivalry to begin with. But it was safe to say that it was just pretty much due to artistic differences. And don't really ask me on those certain details. I am not really a fan of getting myself into stories like this. But enough about that. Let's get on to the main album review. And it was a definite testament as to how wonderful Madame Tebaldi's instrument really is. Yes, it does tend to be strident in certain registers, but it is still a glorious and beautiful instrument that she had, especially when she sang carols like Mille Cherubini in Coro and a lot of other great carols that she managed to produce in this fine album. The only thing that I'm not really a fan of is why was there the Adeste Fideles in the first track and another Adeste Fideles in the last track? That was a little bit head scratching, but regardless, this album was still able to show her artistry and just how versatile she is as a musician, especially when she had to sing really softly. It was just a heavenly instrument that she managed to produce, and it was just a really awesome instrument that she had all throughout. And there were times that when she sang in English, it was quite unusual to my ears. Maybe it's just me, but it was still a very gorgeous and wonderful instrument all throughout, no matter what language she sang in. And speaking of languages, she not only sang Silent Night in her native Italian, but also in Spanish, French, and to top it all off, English, which she did very, very well. So overall, if you are a hardcore Renata Tebaldi fan, then this will definitely be a great collection, especially for the holiday season. With that said, I give Renata Tebaldi Christmas Festival an overall rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars. Yes, there were some reservations in terms of the trackings, but it's still a very wonderful album in showcasing Renata Tebaldi's pure artistry and just how versatile she is as a musician. Well, that's it for my review of Renata Tebaldi Christmas Festival. Tune in later for my final review of my Christmas Time with the Divas album review marathon, Christmastide with Jesse Norman. So until then, see you later, everybody.